What happens when the biggest star in women's basketball isn't even on the court, but her presence still dominates the entire arena? What if I told you the Indiana Fever didn't just win? They made history 6 different times in one night. The Fever crushed the Seattle Storm by 20 points. But that's not even the biggest story. With Caitlin Clark sidelined in her signature Nike gear, her logo lighting up Gainbridge, and 5 teammates also out, Indiana proved they're more than just surviving. They're breaking records while climbing back into playoff position. You're about to see how this one game changed everything. The grit, the records, and what Clark's return could mean for the WNBA's most dangerous team. This wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. So hit that like button and subscribe right now, because this story is about to blow your mind. Picture this scene at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. 16,737 fans packed the arena, but the energy felt more like 50,000. The spotlight wasn't on the court initially, it was on Caitlin Clark sitting courtside in street clothes. Nike had chosen this exact night to launch her signature double CC logo, and boy did they go all out. The entire building transformed into what looked like Caitlin Clark Arena. Those interlocking CC symbols glowed on massive displays outside. Every single fan walking through the doors got handed a whiteout t-shirt with her logo. Within minutes, the crowd looked unified, like they were all wearing team jerseys. Clark showed up dripping in custom gear, black pants embroidered with her CC logo pattern, a matching athleisure crop top. But here's the detail that had everyone talking: the chain link belt with the CC emblem on the end. When asked about the fit, Clark revealed something even crazier. The charm bracelet, the necklace, even the zipper on her top, all featured the CC logo. Nike wasn't playing around with this launch. The timing seemed almost cruel though. Clark hadn't played since July 15th, missing 16 straight games with a right groin injury. And she wasn't alone on that bench. Sophie Cunningham was out for the season with an MCL tear. Chloe Beebe, Sydney Colson, and Ari McDonald were all in street clothes too. That's 5 key players watching from the sidelines. The Fever literally had more injured players than some teams have starters. Coach Stephanie White didn't sugarcoat it before tip-off. She said this game needed to have playoff atmosphere energy. Every single possession mattered. The team had dropped 4 of their last 5 games. They were sitting at 19 and 18, clinging to the 6th seed by just half a game. One more stumble and they could kiss their playoff hopes goodbye. Seattle came in hot too. They'd won 3 straight and were breathing down Indiana's neck in the standings. Nneka Ogwumike was playing like an all-star. The Storm needed this win just as badly as the Fever. On paper, with all those injuries, Indiana should have been the underdog. But sometimes paper doesn't tell the whole story. From the opening tip, something felt different about this Fever team. Kelsey Mitchell came out like she had something to prove. First quarter, 7 minutes and 27 seconds left on the clock, Mitchell rises up for a 3-pointer from the right corner. Swish! The crowd explodes. That shot didn't just give Indiana an early lead, it gave Mitchell 771 points for the season, breaking the franchise single-season scoring record. The same record Caitlin Clark had set just last year with 769 points. Think about that for a second. Clark set that record playing all 40 games last season. Mitchell broke it in just 38 games. And she still had 6 more games to add to it. The look on Mitchell's face said it all. This wasn't about individual glory. This was about proving the Fever were more than a one-player team. But Mitchell was just getting started. By the end of the night, she'd also become the league leader in 20-point games for the season. Not just on the Fever, in the entire WNBA. Every defender Seattle threw at her, she cooked them. Backdoor cuts, pull-up jumpers, catch-and-shoot threes. Even Nneka Ogwumike admitted after the game that Mitchell was, quote, the head of the snake they couldn't contain. Now here's where things got scary for Fever fans. Early in the first quarter, Lexie Hull and Gabby Williams went up for a loose ball. Their heads collided with a sound that made the entire arena gasp. Hull went down hard. When she finally stood up, there was a knot on her forehead the size of a golf ball. The crowd went silent. With 5 players already out, losing Hull would have been devastating. The medical staff rushed out. Hull walked off slowly, clearly in pain. Fans were already pulling up injury updates on their phones, wondering how long she'd be out. Remember, this is a team that had already lost Sophie Cunningham for the season just days earlier. They couldn't afford another injury, but then something incredible happened. Less than 10 minutes later, Hull checked back into the game. The swelling on her forehead was still visible, but she jogged onto the court like nothing happened. The arena erupted. 17,000 fans on their feet chanting her name. Hull didn't just come back, she dominated. 9 rebounds on the night, helping Indiana crush Seattle on the boards 42-21. After the game, Aliyah Boston summed it up perfectly. She said Hull is the definition of tough. Coach White called the collision disgusting, but praised Hull's warrior mentality. Hull herself just laughed it off, joking that everyone told her she looked beautiful with the lump. That's the kind of attitude that wins championships. Speaking of Aliyah Boston, she was on an absolute mission. 27 points on 10 of 18 shooting. She bullied Seattle in the paint all night long. Every time the Storm tried to double team her, she'd find the open player. Every time they played her one-on-one, she'd score. It was pick your poison, and Seattle kept choosing wrong. But here's the historic part. With her 9th rebound of the night, Boston hit 1,000 career rebounds. At just 23 years old, she became the second youngest player in WNBA history to reach that milestone. Only Tina Charles did it younger. Think about what that means. In less than 3 full seasons, Boston has already established herself as one of the most dominant rebounders in league history. And she wasn't done making history. Boston also became the second fastest WNBA player ever to reach 1,000 rebounds and 350 assists. The only player who did it faster? Candace Parker. That's the company Boston is keeping. Future Hall of Famers, all-time greats, and she's just getting started. The third quarter is where Indiana absolutely buried Seattle. 14-4 run to start the quarter, with Boston scoring 7 straight. The lead ballooned to 64-43. Seattle called timeout, trying to stop the bleeding. It didn't work. Every time the Storm tried to make a run, someone on Indiana had an answer. Odyssey Sims was playing like she'd been with the Fever for years, not weeks. 22 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds. She hit a ridiculous contested bank shot from 35 feet that had the crowd going absolutely insane. You know those shots that make you jump off your couch? This was one of them, the kind of play that gets replayed a million times on social media. But here's another record that flew under the radar. Sims became the second fastest player in Fever franchise history to reach 50 points and 25 assists. The only player who did it faster was Caitlin Clark. That's right. In Clark's absence, Sims was putting up Clark-like impact numbers. She wasn't trying to replace Clark, she was complementing what Clark would bring when she returns. The fourth quarter turned into a party. Indiana scored 15 of the first 18 points, pushing the lead to 89-59. Seattle had completely given up. Their starters were on the bench. The Fever reserves were getting meaningful minutes. Fans were doing the wave. It was the kind of blowout that sends a message to the entire league. Here's the truly insane part. Boston, Mitchell, and Sims all scored 20-plus points, and they all did it in under 30 minutes. That's only happened 6 times in WNBA history, 6 times ever, and the Fever did it while missing their best player and 4 other rotation pieces. Let that sink in. The final score, 95-75, a 20-point demolition. But the score doesn't tell the whole story. Indiana scored at least 21 points in every single quarter. They held Seattle under 20 in each quarter. That's not just winning, that's domination. The kind of performance that makes other teams nervous about facing you in the playoffs. This win moved Indiana from 8th to 6th in the standings, jumping over both Seattle and Golden State. With just 6 games left in the regular season, every win matters. The difference between the 6th seed and missing the playoffs entirely could come down to 1 game. This wasn't just a regular season win, it was potentially season-saving. Now let's talk about what everyone's really wondering. When is Caitlin Clark coming back? The official word from Coach White is that Clark needs multiple full practices before returning. Not just shooting around, not just light work. Full contact, 94 feet, playoff intensity practices. White wants to see Clark handle physical play without any setbacks. Here's what we know. Clark participated in a shoot-around before the Minnesota game last Sunday. That's the first time she'd been on the court with the team since her injury. Sources close to the team say she's been doing individual workouts, increasing her running and on-court work. But there's still no official timeline for her return. The complication? Clark apparently suffered a bone bruise on her left ankle during rehab on August 7th. That's a setback within a setback. The ankle injury didn't affect her groin rehab directly, but it slowed her overall progress. White admitted the additional injury pushed back Clark's potential return date. The stakes couldn't be higher. Indiana has 6 games left against the Sparks, Valkyries, Mercury, Sky, Mystics, and Lynx. That schedule includes 3 games they absolutely should win, 2 toss-ups, and 1 against the league-leading Lynx that could determine playoff seeding. Every single game matters. What makes Clark's absence even more remarkable is how the team has responded. Last season, the Fever were a lottery team without Clark on the floor. This season, they're 10-9 without her, including 6-4 in the most recent stretch. That's not just survival, that's growth. This team has developed an identity beyond their superstar. The defense has been the biggest transformation. Last year, Indiana ranked 11th out of 12 teams in defensive rating. This year, they have the most improved defense in the entire WNBA. They're forcing turnovers, contesting shots, and most importantly, rebounding at an elite level. That 42-21 rebounding advantage against Seattle wasn't a fluke. It's who they've become. But imagine adding Clark back to this mix. Picture her limitless three-point range spreading the floor for Boston in the paint. Think about Mitchell having another elite scorer beside her, making it impossible for defenses to key on just one player. Add Sims running the offense with Clark's court vision. Hull playing elite defense while Clark creates for others. This isn't just a playoff team, it's a nightmare matchup for anyone. The chemistry concern is real though. Clark has played just 13 games this season. She's missed 25. That's nearly 2/3 of the season on the sidelines. How quickly can she integrate back into a team that's learned to win without her? How much will rust affect her legendary shooting? These are questions that won't be answered until she steps back on the court. There's also the mental side. Clark went from being the most watched player in women's basketball to watching from the bench. She's had to see her team succeed without her, see Mitchell break her scoring record, see Boston dominate in ways that might not have been possible with Clark demanding touches. How does that affect her approach when she returns? The situation reminds me of something Michael Jordan once said. He talked about how injuries forced him to trust his teammates more, to see their capabilities when he wasn't there to bail them out. Clark might be going through the same realization. This Fever team doesn't need her to do everything. They need her to be the final piece of a championship puzzle. Speaking of championships, let's be real about what this team could become. A healthy Fever squad with Clark, Boston, Mitchell, Sims, Hull, and hopefully a recovered Cunningham next season. That's not just a playoff team, that's a legitimate title contender. They have the scoring, the defense, the depth, and most importantly, the toughness to compete with anyone. The front office knows it too. They've already committed to Mitchell with a supermax contract. Boston is locked in as the franchise cornerstone. Clark's on a rookie deal but will get the max when her time comes. This core is going to be together for years. What we're watching isn't just one special season, it's the beginning of a potential dynasty. The Nike logo launch adds another layer to this story. Clark is already the face of the WNBA without playing. Her jersey is still the league's top seller despite missing most of the season. The CC logo merchandise will be everywhere by next season. The business side of Clark's impact is undeniable, but Tuesday night proved the basketball side matters more to her teammates. They could have mailed it in, could have used the injuries as an excuse, could have played for next season. Instead, they chose to make history. 6 franchise records in one night, a 20-point statement win, a leap up the standings when it mattered most. This is a team that refuses to quit. The message to the rest of the WNBA is clear. The Fever at full strength might be the scariest team in the league. They've proven they can win without their best player. They've shown championship-level toughness. They've developed elite role players who can carry the load when needed. When Clark returns, and she will return, this team transforms from dangerous to potentially unstoppable. Think about what we just witnessed. A team missing 5 players, including their franchise star, didn't just compete, they dominated. They didn't just win, they made history. They didn't just survive, they thrived. That's not luck. That's not a fluke. That's culture. That's coaching. That's a team that believes in itself. The countdown is on for Clark's return. Every practice report gets analyzed. Every shoot-around appearance gets documented. When she finally steps back on that court in a Fever uniform, Gainbridge Fieldhouse might actually explode. The energy will be unlike anything we've seen in the WNBA. But until then, this team has proven their must-watch basketball. Mitchell is playing at an MVP level. Boston is dominating like a young Tim Duncan. Sims is the veteran presence they desperately needed. Hull is the defensive stopper every championship team requires. This isn't Caitlin Clark in the Fever anymore. This is the Indiana Fever, period. Tuesday night was supposed to be about a logo launch. It turned into a statement game, a reminder that Indiana isn't going anywhere. They're here to stay. They're here to compete. And when their superstar returns, they're here to win it all. The rest of the league better be ready. Because what we saw against Seattle was just the preview. The main event is coming. And when it arrives, the WNBA might never be the same. So, what do you think? Can the Fever make a deep playoff run even without Clark? Or do they need her back to truly compete? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're as hyped as I am about this team's potential, smash that like button and subscribe for more WNBA coverage. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update on Clark's return. Until next time, this is your source for everything Indiana Fever. Peace out.